I was gonna say it's almost Jackson 5-ish, but there's only one Randy. There's only one Randy. That's the only one, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, how about real quick, you guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll talk about the business. And because this is such a large family and they've been so successful, I want to hear more family anecdotal things, and then we'll get back to some of the more particular, specific industry challenges.
Omar Biagas. I'm number 13 of 14. I own Planned Power Systems down in Washington, D.C., and excited to be here.
Yes, and everybody know my name is Randy Biagas. I'm not a part of Jackson 5, but I'm a part of the Biagas 14. And
Which number are you, Randy?
I fall in the number 9 spot.
Number 9. All right.
And I own a company called Rand Enterprises, where I do general construction, and I'm a government contractor.
I'm Mark Biagas, number 7, lucky 7. And I work with John and Randy and Omar. We all kind of work together as business owners, and very successful, and we thank you guys for having us today.
And last but not least, Charles, John Biagas. I'm just glad my mom didn't stop at 13. So 14, had 8 boys and 6 girls in the family. And
John, you're the baby of the family, but you're sort of running things, huh? For the big company now?
yeah, as a young guy, these guys used to hit me over the head with their class ring, Charles, and I told them I would get them back one day. And as fate would have it, I was one of the few family members had a chance to go to college, play baseball, and all that good stuff. So, my parents were born. My mother was born in New Iberia, Louisiana. She was one of 11. Father is one of 10, born in Opelousas, which is outside of Lafayette. They each had an average of 8 kids each, all of the siblings. So I grew up with all my cousins. Sort of ironic. Our dad was his whole life he wanted to work and have a successful business. He was able to go into the military, then from there went to the Air Force, served in the Philippines. He was stringing up lines. From that, and he came back to the States, and then it was very difficult. Louisiana has a different dichotomy. We've probably got 7 different races in us, which is a good thing in the sense we can relate to all and every people. But, the strong sense of it is our dad had a strong work ethic, and mom too. You figure the education they had, a 4th grade and 3rd grade education, they had a lot of common sense. But what they really instilled in us through all the adverse conditions and things that they fought with, they actually taught us, the kids, to go out and work hard, be successful, great country we live in, faith in God, faith in family, and faith in yourself, and you can accomplish anything.
How did they grow the business? How did your father, he comes out of the Air Force, he's in the Philippines, he's facing all of the difficulties that you would imagine someone would face at those times. How did the business start to grow?
First of all, he was fortunate enough through the programs that the military offered, he was able to go and learn the electrical trade. And he started us young, 4 and 5 years old, which would be child labor issues right now. But he made sure that all of us understood that electrical industry was something that we could use as a tool, even if we want to go into another form of occupation, that we would have something that could support us. And overall, over the years, learning how to wire houses and do those things that helped us in the industry to date. When I got involved with John was able to purchase Bay some years ago. Omar and Randy as well. We all worked together and was fortunate enough to understand how to do large box stores and grow a business where we really were fortunate enough to get some success.
You say the box stores, you're talking the big box stores. You guys have done, Omar, how many Walmarts have you guys done?
As far as I know, I think 7.
7 Walmarts, big giant Walmarts.
Big giant Walmarts.
That's amazing. And Yvette, talk to us about the Marriott projects because we're talking some serious money here. I know that the conference runs the gambit, but we're starting to talk about the B's with you guys, right? We're going past the M's and we're starting to talk about business that's growing into the B's, dealing with giants like Marriott.
We are fortunate enough to own 2 Marriott hotels in Lake Charles, Louisiana. The second hotel will be opened probably next month. But to be a Marriott owner...
Yeah, hold on. We got to do that. Go ahead.
My brothers have been extremely successful in other businesses, and the decision was made back in '06 to invest back in our hometown where our mother still lives. So we embarked on becoming hospitality owners, and it's been quite a journey, but it has been probably one of the most successful things we've all been a part of. And we continue to learn every day this new industry, because when you think about it, all of my brothers are general contractors or electrical contractors by trade, and to get into hospitality is very new and different, but it's been very lucrative as well.
How do you guys manage it? Because it sounds great, but we've all seen Dallas, right? We all seen Dynasty. There had to be some serious issues from time to time that almost had to challenge the growth and keep you guys together.
Yes, and that's true because in this industry, kids that's coming out of school and stuff in these days, they are not getting into trades or anything, and that's our main gig. So, it's a big challenge to try to find our new workers.
But everyone's in the family knows how to work together. You guys don't step on each other's toes. That didn't happen that had to happen through trial and error, though, I would think.
It did. Let me chat a little bit from that. And, really it starts, I think, from a family perspective. You really got to marry right. I mean, if you marry the wrong partner, that's going to affect anything else that you're doing in your business. So thank the Lord we all married up. So that really helps in that sense. But really, I think we all together have, one responsibility. We want to grow the businesses that we're in, and we watch each other's back. I know that if I task Mark or Randy or Omar, or if they task me with anything, we're going to do it because overall, it will benefit everyone, our kids, our future, grandkids and everything. So everyone works together in that sense. We do have our fights.
Right.
I would not say that.
What about the grandkids? Are they coming into the business for the most part? Are they all following along, or are they sort of finding their own paths, different paths?
Well, I'm going to take that one. I was fortunate enough to have 4 kids, my wife, Melinda, and I, and we're fortunate that they're all college grads now, and we have one of them working with the family. I guess the other 2 figured they want to go see the corporate world, really see how it is, because families could be difficult. We work really long hours, and they're doing well at what they're doing, and I'm glad they took that lead, but we've been pretty fortunate.
Now, you guys down in Lake Charles, we have an energy revolution in this country. It's been derailed a little bit, in part because someone up here earlier talked about Saudi Arabia deliberately pumping out more oil over the last year to bring down the price of crude and to derail what I've been calling the American energy revolution through fracking technologies and other things. But I don't think they can keep it down here forever. And one of the places where I think is going to be booming is the Lake Charles area, particularly once we allow companies to export crude oil, export natural gas in a big way. We are going to be so amazed. We're talking about trillions now. Forget about M's and B's. Now we're talking T's, and you guys are perfectly positioned to take advantage of that. How's that going?
Everyone is talking about, we're right at $90 billion in contracts. I think about 50 billion, close to 60, is in the ground, under construction, and moving forward. To think of Lake Charles in probably the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be very different. I think there's going to be mostly good that will come with that. But you have to manage growth, and I think that's our biggest challenge as a community right now. But everyone is working hard to make sure that the infrastructure can support this huge expansion, and I think it's going to be good.
I was there, and it was nothing. I mean, the land I could have bought for $20 now is worth whatever, 10,000. But there came the infrastructure problems and housing and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm concerned about how will black families. You guys are successful. You're not saying, hey, give me a chance because I work hard. You're saying we're qualified to do this, and yet you're still running into a fair amount of obstacles.
True, and the oil and gas work. We've got crews, Charles, working up in Williston, North Dakota. We're working for ExxonMobil, and that's going very well for us. However, it took us 5 years to get into there, so you got to be very persistent. Natural gas is a game changer this way. So think about it. The catalyst of natural gas and what you can do with it. You can liquefy it. You can make plastics, waxes, all these other items. However, the biggest piece is this. Our industries now have such a low cost of feedstock of natural gas. We can compete worldwide and whip China, everybody else. That's a game changer.
Yeah.
So getting into the doors of these companies has been very, very difficult, but you got to be, very persistent. I'll say this about Lake Charles. For every $1 billion that's going to be spent, Charles, it's probably 10 to 12 billion worth of carry on. New people come in, they got to live somewhere. You got housing, you have apartments, they've got to eat, restaurants, you got all these different items, cars, all of the salient things that happen. If you can, and we're preaching this to our kids and grandkids, set yourself up now. As a young man, if I was in my 20s, I would be in Lake Charles now. I guarantee you, if you worked hard, in 20 years, you'll be a millionaire.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity.
We bring nat gas out of the ground at about $4 per unit that they use to measure it. Because of what happened to Fukushima in Japan, they're not going to have any more nukes. They don't have any of their own energy. They pay $14. China pays $12. Europe, we've got a ready customer in Ukraine. Ukraine is being held hostage by Russia. So, and of course, France, which has more nuclear power as a percentage of energy, they don't want any more nukes. So natural gas and the ability to bring it out of the ground, like in Williston, a place that was dead when I was there, is absolutely amazing. And it's one of these industries you don't hear about amongst, in the African American community, but it is, you talk about the next 20, 30, 40 years, solar is cute. And I know that governments are putting subsidies there, but this is where the billions and trillions of dollars are going to be made. And I know you guys are going to really do extraordinarily well with it. Talk a little bit more now also, you have access to capital, but what can some people do who's not necessarily have businesses as old or successful as yours? Are there any suggestions for how they can maybe access different forms of capital? Because I think we need to rethink how we capitalize small businesses, black, white, any kind in this country. But what are some ways that maybe they haven't thought of that you guys used as you were building your business?
You're seeing a paradigm shift. The larger banks, the J.P. Morgans, Citibank, just the government regulations on them, it's crazy. Same thing for community banks. However, I see a point where if you would partner with other companies that have means as well as getting into these different community banks, they've got to lend money. Banks cannot make money, especially community banks, unless they lend to qualified borrowers. Now, if you do team with someone, I would say this, have your expectations where you're going to bring some skin to the game and share in the success of what's going to happen, but you got to make the effort to make that happen as well. But Charles, I'm in full agreement. Access to capital is very tough, especially in the minority communities, because there's always a stigma where the government sets all these different items and programs up, but it gets to a point where by the time the money finally dwindles down to the end, there's none left. So the challenge is you got to knock your doors down, I think, and just work hard and partner with your banks. Go in and talk with them. They want to loan money.
Are you saying you could give them a piece of the action? You could say, okay, as collateral, 5% of the company or some portion of the profits?
Something like that, or even solar. So we're actually developing solar projects where the banks want to have access to the 30% federal government tax credit. I would trade the tax credit, you monetize that, that's less money comes out of your pocket, you develop an asset that's probably going to pay you for 20 years.
Well, Omar, you're in D.C. What the heck's going on? Everyone's frustrated with D.C. What the heck?
So am I.
You got the South Africans running our energy programs. What the heck is going on?
Well, D.C. is a very unique animal for me. Fortunately, I'm in the federal sector of work in Washington, D.C., but the battles that I see small firms coming up against is dealing with, like John said, capital. Trying to get capital to start off a business, to continue a business. Our biggest problem with small business is tying in with large companies who have contracts that basically destroy your company at any failure. That's not a very good thing for us. So that's why we have folks like Al fighting for us to try and change these things with these large companies and their contracts. So DC's a unique beast. I've been there for 25 plus years, been very successful, but then we have other companies who come in for 6 months or a year and never want to return.
With this election process and early polling, how people are just so frustrated, they're willing to make different choices. Anyone but a seasoned politician in all of this. But is there a way to break through this at all? Or just keep making the noise, keep growing, having these kind of conferences, and keep building that up, you think?
Right. I would say if I was a small business trying to get started in the Washington, D.C. area, the biggest hurdle that we face is making sure that that company is credible. In other words, do they have bonding? Do they have insurance? They got to have capital in order to get started with these larger firms. It's the only way to get your foot in the door. A lot of times they're shot down because they don't meet the minimum qualification.
Again, just a quick final word, maybe something you want to impart. We'll start with you, John.
I would encourage you to keep supporting, Kay, Harry, all these other groups that actually are a voice for us. So we've got to go out and get that. And faith in God, faith in family, and faith in yourself. You can do a lot of things. This is a great country we live in. If you want to be successful, you can do it. You just got to work hard.
I believe that too. Mark?
And I want to echo what he said. I want to thank everybody for allowing us to come up here and share our story. This is a great country, and we just got to keep moving forward and give all the praise and glory to our Lord God, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Yes, and I just want to echo on that too. God is a big part of my life because I went through a problem in 2006 where I stayed in the hospital about 4 months. So, God is everything to me because I'm a miracle for actually coming back.
I'm going to mention the things that my brothers didn't want to mention, the whippings that we had from our parents. They were absolutely...
He said, bring back the whippings.
Yeah, bring back
I'm with you on that one.
As kids, we got, our father would line us up, 8 boys, and for just one getting in trouble. I think that had a lot to do with us getting along now to make sure that none of us fall by the wayside.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Yeah.
I do want to echo that. I think discipline in the home is very important. As I listened to the statistics when they were talking about, the crimes and kids getting in trouble, it starts at the home. Our mother believed in chores. At a very young age, we were all tasked with different chores. With a household of 14 children, you can imagine the laundry and the dishes and everything else. So we learned work ethics at a very young age. So, but we are ordinary people who have been blessed with extraordinary opportunities, and God continues to bless us, and we give Him all the glory.